I see some folks asking about briefings. Uh, I'm pretty sure those are planned, right? The briefings is kind of like part of the
Mission
pre-planning.
briefings, I think so, but I have to ask Sterling, because I'm not entirely sure, but
Yeah,
I think it's planned, yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say. So, yeah, we know that briefings have been briefings and just kind of that it goes into world building. It does kind of tie into it. Um, it's definitely a very integral part of making that really immersive experience. So I wouldn't rule it out. It's definitely something that we want to do. Uh, I mean, what are some specific AI things that you might have just like kind of seen when you were in the Q&A alley that you think it would be a good thing to answer?
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the questions channel, but
Well, it
you
was
haven't
moving
seen
so
it. I'll
fast too,
just go,
that's why.
yeah. No, there isn't any plans to rework the night vision. I think what we have now is final. Well, close to final anyway.
And I see, okay, this is a question I get asked a lot on the modding servers. Are any of the older gun sounds going to return? So this one's actually pretty funny, and I did answer it in the modding server, but I guess it's not as public. So I'll kind of state it for the record here. The original sound back in, I think it was December of 2021, it had a bunch of incorrect assets or just like a mix and match. And I know some folks call it a happy accident, but it definitely wasn't the intended
Bob Ross.
sound.
Happy
So,
accident.
um, I did go back and I threw together. I'm thinking what must have been the correct kind of arrangement, and what I'm gonna do for the next patch is I'll throw it in as a sound that you can access. I wouldn't say it's gonna be the new sound for the SBR 300 or the ARWC, but I'll say that if modders want to swap it, I don't think it'll be that hard. I'll just make sure that it all lines up the same, and all you have to do is do the modding magic, and it should be good to go. So, not impossible. And actually, Ali, maybe I can ask you this question. So there's a lot of I know the decals they broke with the update.
Decals?
Uh, yeah, I saw there were some issues with decals. I'm not sure what all the issues were,
Um,
but
what specifically? Like they're not
with
rendering or something?
modded maps actually.
Oh, yeah, I don't have a clue about that.
Oh
I
no.
don't know what. Yeah, because I don't deal with the graphics side. I think that's more Ryan's thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like some weird thing with like the GPU or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm more like on the CPU side.
Hey, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Ryan was doing some tinkering, so I thought I would ask to see if you had the inside
But it's
knowledge.
weird how it's like broken for modern maps. So like and it's not broken for others. So could be just that like for specific map mods, it's an
Yeah.
issue.
Okay. Um, I see there's a personal question. What's my favorite film soundtrack? Oh man. Um,
I'm
right
trying to
off the,
think as well.
yeah, I know,
Um,
it's such a like broad question. The soundtrack that got me into composing in the first place was definitely Shadow of the Colossus. I think the first time I heard that, it was like it sounds so cheesy saying this, but it was just transcendent. It was just like how how do you make
Never
something
heard
that
of that.
sounds it's beautiful. Shadow of the Colossus, you got to check it out.
I
But I
know the
think when
game,
I
but I just haven't heard the music for it.
it's uh it's it's just damn. Like that's all I could say. It
Mm.
really was like a very moving score to hear. Um And I mean, the literally right below that is probably Splitter Cell Chaos Theory because I love that sound. It just listening to it today, it still sounds fresh. And I mean, the guy who made it, Amon Tobin, he's a master class when it comes to manipulating sound. So it's just crazy. But what does Ali think his favorite film score slash game score slash anime score is?
I think for anime, uh, Laputa, Castle in the Sky. I think for film, it would has to be, I don't know. I think The Matrix. And for game, and for game soundtrack, it's so hard. Like I think The Last of Us or God of War.
Nice. Yeah, that's Bear. What's his name? Bear McGrills for God of War.
Um, Bear McCreary, yeah.
McCreary. Yes. Sorry,
Yeah,
I always mix that last name up. Yes, McCreary.
yeah, it's really good.
Wow, you got the after party here. You guys are so cool.
Yeah, we're just answering some questions that have been like unanswered from the top of the chat.
Nice.
um,
I have a list of some that didn't get answered.
oh, sure. Bang him off right now.
Oh yeah. Are there any future approaches to night vision? Some of these might be out of your guys' like realms though. Like
Wait,
how
what'd you
it's
say?
set
Can
up
you repeat that?
visually. Yeah, yeah. Are there any future plans around how to do night vision, like visually or as far as how it functions in gameplay?
You mean how it looks, or just
To the user, like when you're actually using night vision. Yeah.
I think what we have now is like pretty close to final. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Again, it's not to say that it's like absolutely locked in. I would say it's one of those things where it's funny. Sometimes you work on something for so long, and other things that you would think would take a lot longer actually don't take that long. So it's kind of like it's always that balancing act. But yeah, I'd say the same thing. I always just like to say you never know when it comes to like final features, but
yeah. Will there be a bank robbery map? No. With the internal roadmap we have, we don't. That's not planned.
Oh yeah, I guess wondering about whether the GPMPG would have a different layover than the current YouTube setup.
oh,
I feel
like
like it,
and that's more of like a I guess UI question, right?
yeah, I feel like that probably, I mean, just personally, I feel like that probably wouldn't be the case because it could give an advantage to have a 4 tube like wider range versus a 2 tube if it were to be exclusive to like supporters. Um, but uncertain there.
That's where I wish Dead Pixel was here so he can just bang off an answer for
Yeah.
the
Right.
night vision stuff.
Might need to just center everything to what you
Yeah,
guys
he was
said.
he was the one that made it.
All
I
right, what
remember
else,
watching him
Gerbs?
make that. Oh, again, they're mostly things that might not be specific, but we were wondering about plans around virtual reality and whether it's
VR.
been readdressed. Yeah.
We don't have any plans like in our internal roadmap. No.
We did like I know we did at one point, or we did activate VR. But I'm not
Turned
sure
on
if
the VR switch.
no, like it wasn't. No, sorry, I didn't word that right. There's a plugin
Why
in
don't you just
Unreal.
press the update now button, man? Come on.
I think I've
There's
seen like a few VR videos of for Ready or Not,
yeah,
like a
just
mod or
mods.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, it's not like officially planned. Just like there's some other
Yeah.
stuff. People talking about multiple squads and mods can do it, but it's not necessarily something that we would officially put in. At least not now, just because we're still really grinding the sand when it comes to the core stuff and locking it in.
Yeah, it
And actually,
definitely. I feel like optimization would become quite a bit of an issue there as well.
Yeah, and like I know for Adam, we like every department did optimization, but in other areas it kind of there's still some stutters in like DirectX 12. I know some people still have some frame rate issues, and it's like because there's all these different setups, it's hard to get to the exact bottom of why that is. But
Yeah.
we're still actively really trying to find out and optimize where we can.
And
I see a question right here about talk. I'll just jump into this real quick. Talk hinting and evidence. Yes, it's been talked about. And even the SWAT AI kind of giving you some clues as you're walking through the environment. Um, on one hand, it's like I think like in SWAT 4, I know people mentioned the Tyrone level and how you go into that basement and you get that like huge impact. Um, having moments like that is definitely important because as long as we can humanize the SWAT AI, I think that's where people really get drawn in and immersed. But I don't know. Sometimes it's like we might not have lines for every specific event, just so the player can actually experience it without like having that you're supposed to feel this way. It's like holy shit! Like it's a really shocking moment.
there's some great voiceover questions.
Will Daniela Val be tweaked in any way? She is currently very aggressive and practically impossible to get to surrender, sometimes even with tasers, pepper sprays, or flashbangs, to which she usually has no reaction. I think the way she's set up now is like what we want. But yeah, we can turn that down a bit.
Zach, did you mention about the FBI open up voice line? I feel like
Yes,
that's yeah.
HRT. Yeah, like with that, we do want to have voices for basically we want to make sure that all the characters do have their own voice and it's not like a shared thing. And to kind of tie that into music as well, there's some confusion about like what maps have what music. All of them are gonna have a unique track by the end of the dev cycle. It's just it does take time, and we do use placeholders in some areas, but like hospital in no way, shape, or form should be actually using like the dealer track as a final. It's just a placeholder for now.
So you're not able to talk about the Tarkov voice actor position necessarily.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta leave that for our voice director. Like,
Yep. Also, no
but
spoilers. Jeez.
no
Gosh.
spoilers. But yeah, Jervis, if you got any questions that you found that might be uh something that we could both answer.
Yeah, they were mostly more broad game design questions for the most part.
We don't
Um,
have any news on the Halligan bar tool. We have the animations, but we've never implemented it. So yeah, it's on the back burner.
take a look back at the anime questions.
Yeah, I'm at the top, just scrolling all the way down to see any question I want to answer.
I'll kind of go over this one quick. There's one about like I guess dynamic and stealth modes for the voices. It's not in the works right now. I think it is cool that they did that. I think what we might do is just more of a middle of the road approach. I'm not saying it's like impossible either. I can kind of see um like for example, the soundtrack when a character shoots, it goes into combat. We could do something similar where parameters changed and then from there they use like louder voice lines. But it's all like it's discussions that we still have to have, especially because it's a lot of resources, right? Like you now have to do all the voice lines times two. And I know when we do finally get this overhaul for the voices, we actually want to go out to a studio. We want to do all this recording, and this is after we decide like who's the absolute best fit for every role. So it is a lot of work that we've got to do to get this thing cooked up. So
Any plans to improve Officer AI or make them less reliant on micromanaging. Yeah, it's basically they're going to be a hybrid of SWAT 3 and SWAT 4 AI. We do want them to be more autonomous when they're like clearing stuff and like stacking up or arresting or like engaging suspects. Yeah, we don't want to make you have to micromanage a lot, like how you do right now.
Ellie, do you know anything about AI teams and co-op? Like to have
SWAT
some AI
AI
run.
and
Yeah, yeah.
human like together.
Yep.
Yeah, it is possible, but I would have to run that by Sterling if it's the design of the game. But yeah, it is possible.
Just scrolling down to see if there's any like niche ones that I might have missed.
Incremental speed, probably not planned. Just
Yeah.
there isn't a need for it.
The thing with incremental speed is that it's hard to make sure people around you are matching the same speed. And really there's it's like 3 feeds for the most part that people would be interested in anyway. And so
Yeah.
having a whole scale of like 6 that you have to scroll through is a little unnecessary. It's good for that you'll use for other things.
And so I see there's a question about broadcasting voice over radio. So yeah, that kind of ties into early on in a kind of side comment. I mentioned that the sound there's some interest in getting the Vivox, which is the system that we use now for voice in the game, processing it with Fmod and then playing it through the game. That's definitely something we're interested in. And when we do stuff like that, then we can do other stuff like putting filters over it. And yeah, if you want to turn it off or on again, it's a little bit more work because we either implement it and like really set it in stone, or we have it as an option. But yeah, I think when we explore that further and if it works out, then I would definitely be interested in getting it in the game like 1,000%.
Ellie, what do you think about controlling SWAT team AI after the player has died?
Um, I'm not sure.
Hesitation.
Yeah.
He answered the question without saying anything.
So true. From what I
I'm not like too
understand,
like keen on that, so yeah.
yeah, from what I understand, based on what was said about the campaign kind of planned experiment for how that'll be set up with the commander mode, it would kind of go against the point like permadeaths if you like
Exactly, yeah.
just swap over to an AI member. Where that might be more interesting is if you were playing co-op with AI, like in that scenario where that word could be a thing, where you could have players and SWAT AI, like a team of
Yeah,
a
yeah.
mix of them,
Yeah, I see
then
that, yeah.
maybe swapping over, but otherwise probably just mess with how campaign works. Not sure though.
Yeah, it's a cool idea, but we just have to like actually implement it and then play test it and see if we like it. So it's a process.
Oh, patches. Editing patches in game. That used to be the patch system used to be there, but like a more robust version
Patch
at the time
editor?
of it.
Do you mean like editing patches in game?
Yeah, like patches that go on your player, custom ones.
No.
Just like that, the hopes and dreams
Crushed.
of millions of people just cut down on.
Just one word, nah.
I did see an earlier question about, I guess the sound team, kind of having more supplementary, how it's made videos and stuff like that. There was actually some. I think there was going to be a devlog at one point that was put out.
Oh,
Um,
for this update, yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if it's still on the back burner. I don't know if it was just canned and waiting for the next one, but
Sterling was in charge of that, so I don't know. Who
Yeah,
knows?
it might have been put on the back burner, but
I actually wanted to make this, but I had a lot of things going on, so I
yeah,
couldn't do it.
exactly. So no, and I mean, I know Ali was working on the last one for, I think it was like 3 weeks or a month, right? Maybe
Yeah, for
even,
the June update, yeah.
yeah.
You had like cover, you had world building, landmarks, yeah, that's
And
it.
I mean, he was like, even with the voice stuff, he was giving me direction. I had a new boss for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so it was pretty
Yeah.
intense. Um, but yeah, I'd be interested in doing that. I just, if we do something like that, uh, I want to make sure that it's like really comprehensive and not just like, not, it doesn't feel like it was made on like a cell phone in like 5 seconds. So it does take more time out of the stuff that we're working on, but I'm not opposed to doing it. It's just finding the time to do it. That's going to be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah,
But
we
that'd
usually
be,
do it on weekends when we have the time.
yeah. So not opposed to it, but that'd be pretty cool. You can see how we did all the gore audio, stabbing watermelons and.
That'd be fun, yeah.
All I'm gonna say with that is pomegranates are amazing if you want to get some good gore audio. It's just crazy. Like, you could do anything to those and you get this crazy like gooey squishy sound, and it can just be like the slightest tap and you've got like hours of audio right
Interesting.
there.
Wow. Just do you ever shoot your pomegranates, or you just other impacts?
No, just
Might have to
just
summon Navarro.
what did we do with it? I think it was like, you could literally just pry it apart, and because it's got that like membrane wall between all the seeds, you get that like really nice membrane sound.
I'm just
Um,
imagining you coming out of the grocery store with like 40 pomegranates in a car.
Pretty sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure when because it's funny, I work with Dan, our voice director, and I think he walked out of like the store with like 20 pounds of
Holy
like fruit
shit.
and stuff to just break apart.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
yeah, it's cool. It's cool. But it's also a learning experience. So it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
just crazy. There's a lot of stuff that we're curious about too. So
For the punch sound effects, you think you could get some cabbage hits in there?
oh yeah, we actually did get some cabbage hits, but
Oh yeah.
it doesn't translate well to uh like if you're stabbing a cabbage and like I'm trying to. It's so funny. Like, this is gonna sound so out of
Crunchy
context.
stab.
A lot of sounds where you can so perfectly visualize it are usually never done the way that it's set up. Like, stabbing a cabbage, you don't get that same kind of like visceral, like, you might get that initial hit, but it doesn't have that crunchiness necessarily, or doesn't have that like that kind of gross meaty sound. Um, so
Well,
yeah,
no, just
there's some slapping and stabbing and hammering. So I feel like if I
like
keep going,
love
I'm
getting
just gonna
meaty
cut myself
sounds
off
out
now.
of cabbage. Meaty sounds out of cabbage and pomegranates.
I'm cutting myself off now. I'm not talking about this anymore.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Could get some destruction of fruit videos. Sorry.
okay, and I get this question a lot too about fast food OST. So believe it or not, um, it actually hasn't changed at all. The only thing that's changed, is the fact that there's actually a buildup now. But the issue is the buildup is too long, right? So you'd have to be in combat for probably 30 seconds or 25, which is just too long. So that was reduced, but I know I have to reduce it further. And for like meth as well, I've heard some people say that they don't hear the one combat theme for meth um, that's supposed to be playing. So yeah, I've got to do some adjustments with how long it takes to get to the actual combat stage in the track.
I think there's a recent one asking how you see the audio atmosphere has evolved, like for Neon Tomb, and
Well,
how
I know
it's
one of the things for Adam um, was kind of figuring out how we can make it easier for designers to set up getting sounds in a map. And there's a lot of sleepless nights making sure that we had all the tools that we needed to make that an easier process. Um, And I've got to say, like Flying Juice, who is the one of the other key audio guys on this, he put in a lot of time too to make sure that this like soundscape really exploded. And he has all these like different sounds for like the neon tubing and um, but yeah, I mean, it's just more in those cases can sometimes be better, and then in other cases it's about taking away. So again, it's a balancing act everywhere. Um, and in that specific case, basically you just want to really overwhelm the player. You've got a lot of sirens going on. You got helicopters flying overhead in some like background walla being like the term for like crowd sounds. But it's it's one of those things we can literally just the sky's the limit. We can just throw as many sounds as we can think of, and there's never a problem with adding it in as long as it's not like
Really?
16 airplanes. Yeah, like in most cases anyway. Because in a 3D world, you have so much space to kind of play around in. You have
Mhm.
like this sound in this area, and then this other sound in this other area, and it just gives you so much kind of breadth to move around and like experience all these different sounds. But yeah, like basically turning the dial up to 11 and making sure that all of that is very like in your face and accessible. That's important to the sound team. So all I'm gonna say is like we're focused on improving it at this point.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Just unlimited sounds. I thought there was some sort of optimization bottleneck there. But yeah, for
With
me, sometimes like sometimes like the less involved environments kind of get me. Like in Ridgeline, the airplane flying overhead, there were at least 2 times I thought that was an actual airplane. I was really confused when I walked outside the building, and then obviously the sound became less occluded. I was like, wait a second.
yeah, and I'm trying to think of one example like of sound design that I really thought was cool, and it's just like one of those small things. I think I remember playing Silent Hill Shattered Memories one time, and really early in the game, there's a hallway that you go through. There's no music, and all you hear is the clinking of like an AC unit. And like, it's one of those things hearing that we actually kind of emulated that in Agency. When you walk in the front lobby area, there's like a clinking, I think it's an AC unit in the corner. Um, just kind of emulating that is like, it feels cool to finally be able to do that and apply that
All the
passion.
tiny details.
Yeah, exactly.
Super cool. Oh yeah, I don't think we mentioned this one yet about negotiation. This has been like a really common thing that's like kept coming up over and over again. But has there been any sort of change with how negotiations are approached? Like the possibility of it?
We've never talked about that, so it's not planned. But like, you mean negotiation as in like you yell or like, because like there's only one like voice line, like hands up or like
Mhm.
drop your weapon. Like there's no, because when you press F to yell, we need to somehow figure out a way to like play different voice lines. Like, hey, come out of the room. Like, it's just a lot of logic you have to add, and like
Yeah, basically
pretty
all
very
things
bug
that would
prone.
include more logic, like asking them to do
But
specific
yeah,
things.
negotiation, I don't think it's planned. We haven't like talked about it.
I know there was like the
Will
negotiator
tasers,
thing. That's
will
separate.
tasers make suspects lock up and fall onto the ground in the future? We actually want to make it. Uh, we actually want to bring it in this update, but we didn't have time. So, yeah, that is planned.
And I'm seeing Grunter spoke too fast when talking about Commander. That's funny. Um, I think the TLDR that I'm understanding, I'm trying to. I don't think this is spoiling what he was talking about. Essentially, it'll be sort of like think of like Metal Gear Solid 5 and how you had that team management, but a little bit more laser focused. It's not going to be as like broad. Um, so depending on how you do in missions, it helps you get a better score and better equipment and stuff like that. And then between Not managing other stations. No, it's going to be characters. So between the team members, they can do something that might impact their ability in the next mission, and possibly not even be there just because they're suspended. So that's where that open-ended kind of vibe comes from. But it's not open world. There's no open world like driving around in Los
Yeah.
Sueños. That'd just be too much.
Sinner, if I remember correctly, most of the challenges of some of the new maps was just kind of integrating like gameplay flows with them. Particularly for Hospital, there were some kind of the ways that AI was interacting with it was being kind of wonky, and it was just kind of a progress of figuring out where they're being weird with it. I remember when I came into looking at some of those maps, they're more their later stage at that point, so I can't say much about their earlier development. That was just kind of a later thing.
All right. I think I got time for one more question. So I gotta pick a good one here.
I'll actually
I-
scroll down all the way to the bottom. There's some new questions. Let's
Yeah.
see.
I've been mostly looking at the bottom now.
All right. The first person who can. Okay, I'm trying to think. If someone can answer a question, they get the dibs on last question. Okay.
I'll answer a few more.
There was a supplementary composer on Chaos Theory who's pretty prolific today. Who was it? See if anyone gets this. I'm really curious. Hey, someone actually answered that right away. That's pretty good. Yeah, it was Jesper Kidd, which is actually really cool. He did the more orchestral stuff. But all right, Avant Gardner, you got the floor. Um, ask away. Within reason. If you go too intense with this, I'm gonna have to drop out.
Trying to bring him up on the stage.
Can't believe we did that before too. And actually how well behaved everyone was. Like there was no like
Yeah.
moments where it was like uncomfortable. It was really well organized.
That was the first QA session where it was just like all of a sudden spontaneous, spur of the moment. I remember I was up there like doing on stage moderation. That was an event for sure. We had like Jules and everyone.
Yeah.
Things like Jules, Ryro, Sturls.
Head mounted flashlights, shield lights. I'm not 1,000% sure on this. I was pretty sure I read somewhere. Yeah, shield lights. Like Sam, you stole my thunder, Sam. Come on. Um, yeah, shield lights. Yes. Yeah, he already answered the question. So there you go. That's my last question.
Will civilian AI be improved at some point to not be as suicidal? Stuff like not running towards gunfire, lying down in the middle of gunfights, running towards SWAT maybe. Yeah, they will be improved. I don't think they're suicidal. The suspects, yeah, but civilians, yeah, they will be improved. That sort of stuff takes time. So yeah,
I do gotta.
the lying down part in won't be a thing. But yeah, running towards SWAT and yeah, that'll be cool.
I do gotta drop out, but I'll try to come back if it's possible in the next hour or so. But it's honestly been a blast, everyone. Thanks for dropping in and on this kind of supplementary mini AMA session. It was Ali's idea. He always spearheads the good ideas. So I was just in the room when he suggested. So I'm like, okay. But anyway, I'll see y'all
Nice.
soon. And
See you,
Thanks
Zach.
to see you.
thanks again. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I'll hang out as long as you, Ali.
Yeah, I'll stay around for a few more, maybe like 10 more minutes.
One thing we've seen before and seeing again is people are talking about certain player models being able to be identified as friendly or hostile based on just how they look. I'm guessing that's something that's being changed in the future, right?
Yeah, that's the sort of thing we want. Like blur the line between who's a suspect and who's a civilian.
Hmm. Are you able to talk much on the setup on the farm right now with how those uniforms are and how placeholder they are? Or
No, because yeah, I don't. That's not my domain. That'll be more like
yeah, I
a
got you.
Grunter question. Yeah, or even Sam.
I know people are new to the game now and get really confused on that map. They're like, why is this person that's like loaded up in tactical gear not a suspect? No, Aggie, no one got tased. It's a workplace hazard. Huh. What do you think about magazine repacking?
Magazine what? Repacking?
Yeah, like repacking them with ammo. If you got a half full mag and another half full mag, combining them
It's
together.
complicated. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, doesn't seem super realistic to like stop in the middle of a breach and repack your mags.
Yeah, we just keep it simple. Simple is always best.
What about that? What about resupplying at the Bearcat or something during a mission?
The Bearcat intro.
No, just being able to resupply at wherever you spawned, which is usually the Bearcat.
Oh, uh, maybe not. I don't think so. Dynamic and stealth modes, similar to SWAT 3. Um, maybe not. We want to have our own take. Uh, yeah, that's all I say.
You can kind of resupply ammo from your teammates already if you have the same mag type. You can drop it on the floor. Tactical, or not tactical reload, it's speed reload.
Oh yeah, yeah. You just speed reload, gets thrown on the floor, and you pick it up.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds my shit. It'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool if you could like grab the mag and throw it. Remember DayZ added the ability to like throw any item, and never had to use it, but it would be cool to like be across the hallway from someone,
Mm,
be able to pick it up and
be
just chuck it.
cinematic.
Add to the stealth gameplay, just grab random items
Yeah.
and throw them around. Totally work. Yeah,
Will there
it
be
is
an
fun.
option to disable AI in solo? Um, it's possible, but again, I have to like ask Sterling if we want that in the game.
Um, yeah, Sinner, a lot of those things they aren't really things that would happen during like an actual breaching scenario, from what I would understand. Like first entry, like advanced medical, that would be something for medics to follow up with afterwards. Um, interrogation, you know, also something that like detectives or units on scene would probably handle. But yeah, it does seem like in general, streamlining the gameplay is probably more so the direction. There's certainly
Fast food is planned to be a launch map, not a post-launch.
arrested civilians despawning. Seems like it'd be kind of confusing.
What was that?
Whether arrested civilians and suspects could despawn after time passes like SWAT 3.
They like automatically get arrested after some time.
I don't. Maybe you want to clarify, Maru, but I think it's like after you arrest them that they disappear as if they're being taken away by
Oh,
um,
injury team.
trailers. Yeah.
Yeah, trailers. I mean, yeah. We are actually gonna have trailers come in, and actually you can see them, picking up, carrying civilians, like outside the building to where the Bearcat is. Yeah, that
Oh,
is
yeah, there you
planned.
go.
We want to bundle that with the SWAT AI update.
That'll be
And
awesome.
also the trailers will have the ability to like engage in combat as well. We'll see how that works. We might give them God mode so they don't die.
Hear that, guys?
Yeah,
If you want reinforcements, just make sure you arrest a lot of people.
but I think we'll have them come like maybe like 5 minutes into the game, like after you arrested like your first suspect or civilian.
Oh, that is a good point. Is whether AI could ruin less lethal runs in that case when trailers come in if they try and defend themselves.
Oh, um, yeah, that's true. I haven't thought about that.
Maybe you can. Oh, just trying to think because there'll definitely be something to talk to the advisor about further. But as far as ordering compliant subjects already, could specifically like order that these groups of people here be sent off to trailers or something once you know that's secure. And
Oh yeah, we are gonna actually have a like secure area command that's planned as well. So like you
right.
just go secure area, and then your SWAT AI will just know what to do.
What about people that are arrested being laid down so that they're like less in the way?
Yeah, that's just more of a visual thing because we disable the collisions when they're arrested, so it doesn't really matter.
I guess as long as they don't get shot, but you can try and move them. Trailers could stay behind an invisible front line. It'd probably be hard to determine where that front line is, I imagine. But I guess he could.
It's not difficult. It's possible.
Tactical takedowns. Yes, you are now Solid Snake.
The medical kit. I never said that was planned. We actually haven't talked about it, so yeah, it's not planned.
The medical kit seemed more like a PvP thing at the time. The incapacitated AI bleeding out, is that intended right now?
You mean when they're incapacitated, they bleed out
Yeah, like they can still bleed
and
out
die?
after being, yep.
Yeah, that's intentional. Yeah, because like there's no way to stop that. Like
Mhm.
they're bleeding out. So
You think that kind of first aid would be something, or is it just like, maybe you shouldn't have shot this person in the first place, sort of deal?
I could see that being useful. Yeah, but again, I have to run that by the design team. So I'm more of the implementer. I don't like make decisions like that.
Right, yeah.
But
That's where this
that
does
would
become
actually be cool.
difficult.
Like they're bleeding out. You go up to them and then you heal them basically. You stop their bleeding. Will the game scale AI based on squad size? No. It's just a set amount of AI we specify in the AI config for each level. Seen a lot of 9-bank questions. I don't know when those will be in, but yeah, it's planned. What do I like about the SWAT 3 AI? I like how autonomous they are. They call out certain things. They take initiative. Um, it's a lot less micromanagey than SWAT 4, which makes them seem a lot smarter.
Yeah, all the maps will be optimized. Each map receives iterations after the fact, like it's been so far essentially, where try to prevent older maps from becoming outdated, and optimization's definitely a part of that. So you can certainly expect hospital to be optimized. It's kind of cool about, well, data center not causing cloud damage to servers.
How early is the hotel rework? It's still in blackout phase, but it's coming along really nicely.
The hotel rework, is that still going to be two separate like maps?
No, just one. What do you mean by two
Oh,
separate?
well, right now you can, based on the game mode you select, you might stop at like the top of the hotel versus the bottom
Yeah,
of the
okay,
hotel.
yeah. Yeah, just one level. Just one map.
What do you mean by less lethal being better, Patrick? Exactly. Because it can always generally be done. Oh,
Um, will there be a suspect in the future that is heavily armed? We don't have any plans for that. We have one suspect that's in club that uses an LMG. That's the only one we have.
yeah. What sort of things for Ridgeline do you see as being used to increase the challenge of the AI, since there's only a couple of them?
We need to make them a lot more stealthy than they are, because right now they're not that great. I'm not that proud of it.
Do you think that'd mean like more rat holes and things, or how would they be more
Probably
stealthy?
like silent footsteps, or like
Ooh,
yeah, more rat holes. Just a lot more
mm,
sneaky, because right now you don't get that feeling of they're trying to outsmart you, like because
yeah.
Ridgeline is just it's like a 2-minute map. basically. Like when you see them, missions done.
You know, it seems like something that might be kind of thematic there is if they wore essentially like deerskin, like moccasin type footwear or something.
Mm.
That would be really quiet. Probably from stuff that they hunted.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Even though there's not really an arrest or fail, there is like the requirement for taking a certain amount alive to arrest a certain amount of suspects, which I feel like kind of gets to that. But it would be interesting for certain really important suspects, maybe. How you doing on time, Ellie?
Uh, go for another 5 minutes, and then we'll call it.
Yeah, Church Grim kind of talked about just a few minutes ago, sort of is like a secure command that you can order your team to do for a certain room. As far as having them sweep and clear for unarrested suspects. A teleporting rat hole. That's kind of like venting. What about like vertical rat holes?
Like going up. Like
Yeah, they climb the wall. Something crazy. I guess you could have ladders, but oh yeah, I guess that introduces the need for kind of a ladder climb mechanic.
The red holes right now, they don't teleport. They actually do move through the level. We don't actually hide them in teleport.
So their hitbox
Yeah.
follows through the whole way. Sort of deal.
Like we actually set up a pathway for them to move through. That's how it's set up right now.
Center, the evidence collection is kind of a separate sort of thing that would basically be considered across most of the maps. It does seem like there's been less evidence collection overall. For example, on Ridgeline, there was originally going to be some evidence that you're supposed to collect, but it was taken out. It was just kind of a pain to search for it. That's to say, like separate from weapon bagging versus stuff that's already existing on a level. Stuff that's already
I
existing on
see
a
a few
level.
questions about adding an option to like not pick up weapons. We won't have an option, but we would have trailers actually go in and pick up weapons for you. So you can just don't even have to think about that. You can if you still want to, but trailers will do that for you.
That's currently planned to be physical trailers, essentially.
Yeah, you actually see
walk
them.
around.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's been mentioned yet. So, other than when you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there'll be physical ghost trailers. So actually, ghosts from Modern Warfare will come in.
Also for trailers, in combat, we might not have that. So like once an area is actually clear, there's no like suspects in an area, say for like a minute. They'll just go in and pick them up and just they'll be in God mode, so nothing, they won't die or anything.
When I mentioned a front line maybe being hard, from my perspective, is like if suspects were trying to flank around the map and things like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
everything
but
where
we can detect that.
that's true, right? And just
Yeah, I've got a few
essentially
ideas, but yeah, it's simple.
yeah, and everything we're talking about, like this is with a grain of salt to some extent, because a lot of these are kind of more game design oriented questions.
Yeah.
It's just all like, if there's physical trailers, maybe just consider everything just stuff that's being experimented with and might not actually make it to what the game's going to be. Trailers are police units that follow in after the main entry team to help secure evidence and bring out subjects that were already restrained. So if you
Yeah.
restrain a bunch of civilians and suspects, you don't want them just sitting around during a gunfight or the chance for them to be moving around or causing issues. So trailers comes in and secures them outside and organizes them and checks them for weapons, that sort of thing. Additional weapons. It's actually kind of crazy the way trailers work in real life, where you have like all these, everyone's treated as if they were involved in the situation. And like in an active shooter scenario, for example, you just got a bunch of civilians that are lined up and searched and treated like they're suspects.
Yeah.
And it's quite hostile. That's kind of a hostile vibe, unfortunately. Because I mean, you just don't know. I think there was like this one scene, one of the movies that was done on like the SAS embassy siege. And of course, this is different level of kind of operation. It's not
No, I
exactly
haven't
SWAT,
seen that.
but yeah, there was in that siege there was actually a suspect who had disguised himself as a civilian and tried to escape, ended up getting shot. I believe, I don't know how fictionalized that part of the movie was because I don't remember the actual account, but he was actually carrying a grenade with him and was gonna detonate it as they're escorting him out. So be really careful.
Active shooters getting reworked. In fact, all the gamers are getting reworked, but I won't say anything right now.
Or rework.
Nah, I don't know.
Goddamn
They're fine.
doors, dude.
We actually haven't even talked about like it's never been brought up. Reworking doors, so probably not.
Melee to kick door sounds interesting. That'd be a pretty streamlined interaction. Sometimes it can, I don't know. I'm trying to
Yeah,
breach a room real quick. It could be annoying to try and find the door kick spot. You could just melee at the door. Could detect
yeah.
it as a
Double tap
kick.
melee. That would probably be good because you may still want to melee when you're near a door or something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, animation cancels like for handcuffs.
Arresting? No, I don't. It hasn't been discussed, so I can't like definitively say that's gonna be a thing. Let me just scroll up a bit.
How do suppressors affect AI behavior right now? Like suspect AI.
It's just a limited hearing range. That's all. That's all there is to it.
Does it change their morale at all or not?
I'm not sure actually. I think any gunshot they hear just changes their morale, but when you have a suppressor, it just lowers the hearing sense range.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be kind of interesting if suspects didn't get as aggravated by suppressed gunshots. So, they're not as crashingly loud.
Yeah. I mean, if you just hear any shot, like you'll be suspicious anyway.
Hmm. But as far as like increasing any amount of aggressiveness, what's the word? It's a stress
Right, I
level,
see.
I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, yeah.
Actually, yeah, it does actually half their stress
Oh, there we go.
increase amount. Yeah.
That's cool. Some of those hidden features that can be hard to, or maybe
Yeah.
not hidden features, but they're kind of under the hood or hard to know about.
SWAT 4 punch animation? No. We already have bash.
It's funny how long we were like, oh, no, we're not going to have melee. We're not going to have bash. Things change.
Yeah. Boss AI. No. We're not Dark Souls. Yeah, we won't add that.
Increased RPM on weapons using suppressors is really interesting. I wonder how confusing it would be for players and also how big an
Exactly. Yeah.
RPM difference it would make. I know some guns, I'm
I don't know.
pretty sure it can
It's a small
help.
little thing, but I don't know if it's really necessary to add.
Yeah.
It's a video
In
game
a
after
way,
all.
the details they matter. It was always weird
Yeah.
seeing like the Red Dead Redemption 2 videos still so many years after its release, like crazy detailed Red Dead Redemption 2 top 20 you've never seen.
Those are always interesting anyway, because you actually never seen them, you know?
Yeah. If only that development didn't sound like it was such a grind. At least it's not so intense.
Can the hearing range on certain maps be extended like the postal? Yeah, we can, but again, we have to play test that and see if that actually works good. Because we don't want to increase the hearing range and then suddenly every suspect on the map gets alerted and or rush into your position or like just like pre-aiming at doors and stuff. And yeah, it might not be fair.
I'm pretty sure that shotgun reloads at one point may have involved a single press for each shell. It's very tedious, and it's hard to know exactly when you finish reloading unless you've been keeping count. Some things it's better for games to just handle for you and streamline.
Exactly, yeah.
I remember like in Hot Dogs Horseshoe Hand Grenades for VR, that there's like settings that put you on basically reload hard mode where it's completely physics based. And it's just so janky with shotguns. It's like the precision you need. My God.
What game is it?
It's H3VR, like Hot Dogs Horseshoes Hand Grenades. They have a bunch of different settings to customize how difficult the simulation is. And actually, the more realistic the simulations ends up being in a lot of cases, actually, the less realistic the gameplay kind of ends up feeling, where like you're
Mm.
really having to mess with putting a mag in an AK, for example, because there's just hitbox collisions and it's like knocking the weapon all over the place. Whereas if you're actually holding the weapon, you'd have a really good kind of sense, at least considering you're somewhat familiar with it, of like where your hand is, where the gun
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, SWAT AI will keep having infinite ammo. Imagine if they ran out of ammo during an engagement and it's like, oh, what do I do now?
Switch to
So just,
sidearm.
I guess just run away. Run to the bear.
Start melee bashing. They just charge in. God, that'd be hilarious. Imagine just like a
Wait,
phalanx. Get your shield guy up front.
it's like this meme right here. Uh, some mod.io questions. We do have disabling and enabling mods without having to actually uninstall them. That's been implemented. For the restarting part, that's not going to change because we actually have to restart the game for it to work properly. And we'll have to the side of the mod.io menu, like categories and like filters and stuff.
Oh, nice. If anyone didn't see it, by the way, the AMA video's up.
Oh, that's right. SWAT AI don't use this sidearm. Yeah, we will actually make that work for the next update. Or for the next SWAT AI update, yeah. I guess we'll like just kind of simulate that. So we'll simulate them having no ammo in their primary and they switch to their sidearm, and then once the sidearm has no ammo, like in air quotes, we'll switch back to primary. It's just one idea, but who knows?
Yeah. Maybe there could be like a cooldown where they magically get more ammo.
Yeah.
You've been giving your SWAT only one mag? Man,
That's
Absolute
funny.
ammo discipline.
Well, it's smart, because they're infinite ammo.
Right, yeah. So instead they carry a ton of wedges. That's hilarious. Yeah, that does kind of make customizing ammo amounts. I didn't really think of this. I don't usually try and customize their ammo anyway, but it does make customizing the ammo kind
Yeah,
of
it's
more difficult.
redundant.
It seems like maybe yeah, some sort of cooldown or some other way.
Yeah, we'll think of
Yeah.
something. Yeah, I think they'll always have infinite ammo because if they run out of ammo, then I don't know, it's
Mhm.
gonna be frustrating.
It's not like you can control how much they shoot too, and they might get bugged and just start blasting a wall.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I had to guess, I haven't played SWAT 3, but I've watched several videos of it to see what their AI was like back during development. And I would imagine it's already better now. I mean, that's up to you guys to decide, but it seems like it would be a lot more complicated than the SWAT 3 AI would be. There might be some features here and there that are different, but
Yeah, that's the plan. We want to make it better.
yeah. The SWAT AI be able to lean, you think?
Yes. Yep. We want to
Eval.
as they like breach through doors, they will just pie beforehand, and then they'll just go in.
See a baby SWAT 3's got nothing.
And they'll like
Nothing.
lean to look under desks. Yeah, I think that's about it.
I feel like one thing to consider as well is, SWAT 3 is a final product, and ready or not still has development to go. The
Yeah,
maps are changing and the AI is changing, and it all interacts with each other in this, big holistic system. And so you have all these moving parts. They're constantly shifting. It's hard to gauge ahead of time what it's going to look like and what's better than the other because one's a final product. And that's a pretty obvious thing, but it's always something to consider. But Elliot's done a fantastic job. Lavish him with praise whenever
thank you.
appropriate. Remember even just when it went to there's so many times I can remember from early development where just SWAT just wouldn't go through a door. And
I remember that. Yeah,
I would desperately try every play session to get the SWAT to come with me, but there was always a door that they'd refuse to go through or something. And yeah, we've come a long way. It's beautiful.
they still have troubles in modded maps, so still got a few more things to fix. But yeah, like 99% of the time, they will actually they will work most of the time. Like go through doors.
Yeah, I find that I can rely on them in like 90% of scenarios right now. Which, while not perfect, is definitely functional for the time being. Yeah, they do have issues returning fire, but of course we have the SWAT AI coming up, the update for that.
No, they won't take cover. It's a bit complicated. Since they're like very powerful with like a lot of, because they have a lot of gear. They have primary, secondary grenades. They're really accurate. So yeah, they kind of don't need it.
The amount of shots fired thing is interesting, but I wonder how it'd play out when you're working with AI, because you can't really control very well how much AI shoots. But some sort of stat for like co-op could be cool if people want to see how few shots they could complete a mission in.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think as many ways as possible for players to kind of challenge themselves on levels is generally a pretty nice idea. Like how Sterling was talking about players that want to do, you know, missions without ever talking and instead just rely on body language. And that would be a scenario where tapping
Yeah,
shoulders and stuff can be useful. I think tapping shoulders is good either ways, especially when you're just playing with randoms, um, which is great too. But just knowing that people are ready to go, and if you just really quickly you're in comms with like potentially 8 or more people, if you have a mod on that increases player size, just comms get messy. Someone's like, oh yep, I'm on, you ready to move. You have to figure out
you don't know
who that
like
person
wait, who's
is.
talking? Wait, am
Yeah,
I here? Did
exactly.
I get it? Yeah.
Or where that person who's talking is and who they're talking to. Like, yeah, you can like really get your comms down for that, but it'd be 10 times easier just to press F on their shoulder and have it.
Yeah. The Tech 700 is not returning. SWAT AI putting NVGs on. Yeah, we'll do that.
Well, flashlight blinding. Would that affect both SWAT AI and suspect AI?
Oh, if SWAT can like be affected by flashbangs.
Oh, no, like flashlights, like weapon mounted. I guess what I mean is,
Oh,
yeah.
nah, not really. No.
Yeah, we mentioned trailers a bit earlier and the possibility that we see them conceptually in some way in a coming update, possibly in like a physical sense in terms of them actually being a presence in the map, but at the very least, um, them like removing
Well, you'd see them come
security.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those seem ambitious. It'll be exciting to see that. Uh,
I can't speak on the weapon customization stuff because it's not really my area.
you can always use mods to get carry handles back on your weapons, by the way.
Yeah, I have the G36C carry handle mod.
We should get a tally of how many developers have the carry handle mod.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I remember Gwyn was a big fan of weapons with carry handles that had optics on them. Oh, different colors of chem lights, kind of interesting. Hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah, that's really easy, doable.
That could be really great for people that want to like really get into the role play of it. I mean, there already is kind of things like that. The NPC patrol officers on maps. So I would imagine, yeah.
Patrol officers? No, I don't think so.
No, like on the perimeter, just like as far as world building. You don't think so?
No, there isn't any present right now. Oh, do you mean well, I thought you meant there was patrol officers.
Well, I remember calling like some maps, for example, gas, and I think also club at one point maybe had patrol officers around, and hotel um has like those SWAT officers on one level.
Oh,
Is
in
it penthouse?
penthouse. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
penthouse that is.
downstairs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, like the patrol officers physically engaging with suspects that leave the map, or otherwise preventing them to leave, like outside the entry, like buildings.
I think they're just there for show. We'll keep suspects like contained within the map, the playable area.
Though with trailers, it would be something to explore, I guess. I don't know. Definitely be some weird gameplay implications for that, like Sinner mentioned, as far as, I mean, I'm just guessing here, that if you're trying to do a less lethal run and the suspect goes outside and then gets shot, oops. Or otherwise if they go outside and instantly get forced to surrender or something, then it's like Drat becomes
I think that would be a better
rushed
option.
all the suspect. It would be a better option, but it could be
Yeah,
like, okay, now the strat is to flush all the suspects out of the building so they instantly surrender.
yeah,
So that
that'd
could
be
be challenging.
that'd be cool to see if actually like you can
Yeah.
get them to do that consistently.
I think yeah, to an extent making that happen consistently, and if there was a priority for the suspect AI that they like were trying not to go outside, that would make it harder. Then
Yeah. Yeah.
that could make sense. Otherwise, they just be all streaming out the doors, just getting arrested. Yeah, with spalling and all that collateral damage caused, kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the data center on collateral damage. Still taker. Yeah, you never want to hit a cat. I don't know the story behind the dead dog, but stuff happens where could just be caught in crossfire, where the dog might have. Pretty sure it's a German Shepherd. The dog might have been a trained dog that trying to defend its owner or something, and ended up getting shot because it was trying to
Yeah,
attack
I don't know
someone.
the details as well. That's like Sterling's thing. He does the
Yeah,
story.
but it's not necessarily trying to paint. It's cartoonishly evil.
Yeah.
There is something to be said for how that, I don't know, impacts an audience differently. For some reason, in movies and everything, people tend to care more about if an animal dies in a scene than a person. At least sometimes. Compared with your random background actor.
No SWAT force, sniper team.
So we'll take it that sentence does look like maybe it's misconstrued. I think you shouldn't liberally use flashbangs, or you should use them to not cause collateral damage. Because flashbangs, they definitely cause a lot of collateral damage. You can start fires and everything. Which
Yeah, just another mechanic that we don't really need. Just one less thing to think about.
yeah. Right now, as far as utilization of grenades, they increase stress levels, I believe, right? And that can cause suspects to be more hostile than you might want them to be. Yeah, I'm aware that nucleus is kind of scenarios they suck. That's why less lethal isn't always the right option as well. Just avoiding force in general. I do think I'm going to pop off pretty soon, though. It's getting hella late.
Detailed stats could be cool. It'd be interesting to know what, like, how many shots you fired or like other things, other metrics. But yeah, I'll pop off soon as well. I'll answer one more question and we can just call it.
Yeah, I mean, the beanbag wasn't really intended like headshot necessarily to be like
Yeah, we got
rewarded.
like our police advisor said they actually do kill people if
Yeah.
they get shot in the head.
And
Yeah, it's also like we don't want you to shoot them in the head and just arrest them for like easy points. So yeah, you gotta be careful where you shoot.
yeah, and if you take out less lethal, you kind of got to commit to it. Being able to just go for that headshot and knock him out, which is kind of an easy out to a firefight.
Yeah, especially on Ridgeline, you just go headshot, bloop, and then you just arrest them.
I saw that happen in a hotel a lot too, where someone could just run through a hallway with a shotgun, beanbag shotgun, and the second there was actually a lethal threat, they could just go for the headshot.
Yeah, it just
Doesn't
makes the
really.
game a bit too easy.
Hmm. And I mean, really, to go far with it, almost all the less lethal weapons are able to cause lethal damage. Obviously, it's why they're less
Eventually,
lethal.
yeah, like after
Yeah,
repeated use, yeah.
I remember talking about EF gas, for example. I mean, that literally is tiny crystals that perforate your lungs and your mucous
Yeah.
membranes, everything, causing irritation. If you stay in that in a confined space for a long period of time, you can die. Can suffocate. And pepper spray, of course, people can have certain reactions to that. Some people don't even react to. I can't remember it's CS gas or pepper spray, but some people are less apt to react to it at all. I think it's
Interesting.
DS. No, actually. But then, tasers, heart attacks, all sort of thing. And the amount of internal bleeding that can be caused by blunt trauma, things like stinger grenades, and really all the projectiles in the game. And being too close to flashbangs, blah, blah. All that sort of stuff could have a lethal aspect to it. Just depends how much of it gets into the game.
Yeah.
How much of it works for gameplay.
I think CS guys, they do like 1 point of damage. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the code in a long time. But yeah, it's a very small amount.
What's like the tick rate on that? Is it like every second or?
I think every 0.25 seconds. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's like a pretty fast.
So it is
tick rate.
possible for them to die to it then, yeah, or at least be in.
If you're low health, if you're really low health, yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Oh, you wanted
Yes.
to?
One last thing. There's something that the SWAT for SEF did that I thought was really cool. Is like, if you were to tase certain suspects on maps, you could give them a heart attack because they're in less health condition. That sort of thing. Just also mentioned. But cool, yeah. I'm ready to go as well. Hopefully I'll enjoy sticking around a little bit longer. Get a tiny bit more info.
Thanks for coming, guys. It was really fun answering questions, just talking.
Yeah, be nice. See y'all later.
All right, see you guys.